Yo, 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 what's up? Lethal Collective Q&A Mondays. KillJoy Jake is dancing. Fate Decided is here. And
That sounded really underwhelming. They're like, look at this guy dancing, and this guy's here too.
um, I think one thing that we like touch on, not obviously not the spoilers directly, but just like the time that we're getting into, right? Like we are inching closer. I mean, we're what, like a week and a half, something like 2 weeks or something like that.
2 weeks.
Film. Yeah. So, and the embargoes and all that stuff, all those are going to get lifted usually like a week before. So, just be cautious when you're going into streams or you're looking stuff up, or, me and Jake kind of touched on this briefly in the Friday stream. It's because I mean, at the end of the day, you are responsible for your your knowledge. And yes, people can do whatever they can to spoil it and stuff, but you got to be cautious, right?
Absolutely.
Also, just because something's going around doesn't always mean that it's true, right?
Yes.
I'm not saying it is or it isn't. I don't know either way. But what I'm saying is that, there's a lot, like most Scream movies have had multiple endings, alternative. So it's not out of the realm of possibility that maybe they changed something, or they, decide to like, hey, this close to like the release of the movie, it might be a little hard, right? Like,
but also, dude, like go back to Scream 2, man. They purposefully leaked stuff with that movie.
Oh yeah, no,
you know what I mean?
Right.
They leaked the entire movie, and it wasn't like the movie. It was just so people would run with it.
It could be fake. Like I don't know what the hell's going on out there. I'm not looking out for that shit. But like, man, it could be fake. I don't know. I have no context. And if that's the case, kind of a great move on their part. Get the fan base all riled up, and then you go to see the movie, and you're like, wait a minute.
That's right.
Hang on a second. That's not what I saw, So that would be great if that was the case. I don't know. I'm not behind the scenes. I wish I was, but
well, I'll tell you what, man. If we come to find out that all of this was, just a purposeful leak, and there were so many people running with it, that's going to be a fun conversation to have.
I will praise them all day, every day. If that they did that on purpose, like hell yeah. Because like, I mean, this day and age, right? It's marketing. This day and age, dude. It's like it's so easy for things to leak. To give them something like that, like, oh, this guy might leak something. So, this is one of the endings. Maybe that's how it got out or whatever. Yeah. I don't know. That would be cool. That would be really a really smart thing to do.
It's also just odd. Yeah, it's also just odd because like the person is actually on the thing. Like you think if like, if you were going to leak something, Jake, wouldn't you try to do it anonymously as anonymous as possible? Like, wouldn't you try, wouldn't that be like something like, I don't know. Like, again, I'm not saying that they did do it purposely, but it would make a lot of sense. And it would be a great way to kind of get people talking, get people upset. Radio Silence said that they knew about it immediately. Right? Like that was the whole thing. Like, hey, that they were aware as soon as it happened, they knew it was out, and they weren't really in a rush to stop it.
And okay, on top of that, though, too, I don't know if you've read any of the newest Scream 6 articles. I've been like kind of just catching up on some stuff from the past couple of days. They've been in like a few interviews recently where they're talking about like some of the backlash they've been getting. They're totally redirecting the conversation, and they're not really talking about that specifically. Like they're talking about the ghost face with the shotgun again and all that. I did a whole video on that today. They talked about that. They talked about like a more brutal ghost face, just a bunch of other stuff related to the movie and not the leak specifically.
Right.
I think that's really telling, because I feel like these are the guys who would hop on that immediately, which would jump to give some kind of answer back to it. Maybe in a couple of months, they might tell us something about something else we don't know about right now. I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I really hope that that's the case, because there are so, many people, not to keep going on and on about it, but there's so many people that really, they got let down, that it was spoiled for them and so forth and so forth. I mean, with Scream movies, you get that chance to be totally surprised once. That one time you watch it, and then you know what's going on, and then every time after that, it's for the love of the movie, or the curiosity of finding out, or figuring out how things worked to get to that ending. So, there are some people that really got stung pretty hard that they were robbed of that one time to be surprised. For me, it's the type of thing where, and I haven't been spoiled yet, but I'm prepared to be. And even if I
it comes with the
was,
territory for us.
exactly,
It
and even
does.
if I was, I'm
It
still going to
sucks.
watch it and still enjoy it
Yeah.
anyways,
But I mean,
hopefully.
that's the beauty though of like of like Scream and its rewatchability, right? Like
Hmm.
because like once you do know who the killers are, right?
Hmm.
Like and you go back and you watch it again, you start noticing all like and you're like, how did I not notice that the first time? How did like, oh man, this was so
Hmm.
obvious that it was this person or is that person, right? Like you start noticing all the little details. In
Hmm.
Night, like I wanna get your thoughts on this because me and Jake talked about this a little bit, and Jake, if you want to elaborate also more on it, and I even made a video about it, talking about how like is now at Scream 6, is Ghostface reveal, is that as significant as it once was? Because like my whole thing on that, like I like obviously Scream is a murder mystery, right? Like a
Hmm.
slasher mystery. You do
Yeah.
want that. You do want all those things. But to me, it's more about like the execution and delivery on that. Like every Scream
Hmm.
movie, for the most part, outside of like '96, was like super obvious who the killers were. Like Scream 2, you saw Mickey and you're like, yeah, that
Yep.
guy's the killer. Like
Exactly.
without a doubt, right? Scream 3, like when you're looking at it, you're like, okay, so it has to be somebody that knows everything there is to know about the history, all the details, Hollywood, all that stuff. So you're like, okay, well, Milton's too old, so it's probably
Hmm.
the guy that they keep alluding to as his son. Like, like if you're watching
Hmm.
that movie, like to me, like obviously we don't want it spoiled, we don't want it ruined, but
Hmm.
like it's something we've even talked about, like early reveals, right? Like if they did an early Ghostface reveal in the first like 10 minutes, like I don't think that would destroy the movie. I don't think it would ruin,
No.
like, because it's going to come down like what is the end result, what was the execution. I mean, the trailers leaked who the killers were in Scream 5. Like you
That's right.
knew, like you saw Amber and you were like, okay, well either she's Ghostface or Ghostface lights are on fire, but Sydney's there.
Hmm.
So I don't think Sydney's just lighting people on fire. And
Hmm.
then, Richie, you see him about to get stabbed, and it's like, okay, well, either Sam's the killer, but I don't think they're going to go that route again, or Richie's the killer and Sam's defending herself.
Hmm.
Like, those were the only two outcomes. So it's just like, I don't know, '96, even though, like, Billy was so blatantly obvious as the killer.
Right.
He did everything but wear a sign or had
That's
a
right.
tattoo on his forehead that said, I'm the killer.
Hmm.
But it was just so well executed. It,
Right.
it was so well executed that, like, you were like, nah, it's too obvious. It's got to be somebody else. Who is it? And then you find out it's him, and it's like, man, I knew it. And then the big reveal was like, oh, it's Stu too,
Hmm.
right? Like, oh,
Hmm.
it's Stu, and like that's the thing. I look at it. I'm like, yes, it sucks, that there are a lot of people that know the end result of 6. But
Hmm.
one, like, how significant is it? And two, you also got to keep in mind, and here's another reason why they might not change it, is because it's such a small pool that actually know that. It's something we
Right.
talked about. Like us Scream fans, like us diehard Scream fans, we're a small minority to the overall masses that are going to watch this movie. And
Hmm.
I guarantee you, probably 99% of them that are going to go watch this movie have no clue what the result's going to be, other
Yeah.
than like that 1%. But what are your
Exactly.
thoughts, Knight? I'd love to hear your thoughts.
I mean, I have to agree. I think at this point in the franchise, we've seen these reveals. We know what's going on with them, and so I don't think that that's the biggest part of it. I think the biggest, and I've said this before too, with the franchise, the characters and their journey is really the biggest part of the movie. And it's weird in the sense that a Scream movie, it plays like like a traditional slasher. It plays like something like a whatever, Halloween or My Bloody Valentine or something like that. But the difference between Scream and those other franchises is that we're so drawn into the characters. The characters take front stage. And so with these movies, you're watching it for these characters. You're seeing how they interact with each other, how they deal with the deaths, and what are the links to the past. And obviously, especially the first four movies, if you think about that, it was all about the spider web of all these connections. It was about the relationship with Dewey and Gail. It was about how is Sydney dealing with the events after 96 and things like that. So the fact that this quote unquote supposed leak is out there, and for some people, and it's their feelings, and I'm not trying to step on that, but for some folks it really put them down. But like you said, the reveal really isn't the biggest thing now with the franchise, which also makes me think this, and we talked about this as a possibility. I still hope it's possible, but an early reveal, something that changes the rhythm of this movie and possibly for the franchise going ahead. If we have multiple killers, if we have an early reveal, just to throw us off a little different, as far as what we're expecting in a Scream movie, I think that would be fantastic. You got to shake up something. You look at Scream 5, and like you said, yes, the trailer did ruin it for us. But even if you didn't watch the trailer, going into the movie, and it's part of the advantage and the disadvantage of this franchise. Going into this movie, you're automatically thinking the boyfriend. I mean, they literally talked about it, so you're automatically thinking, are they going to Billy us again? And they tried to be pretty sly with how they did things with Richie, and I think some of it was executed pretty well as far as his involvement and his reveal as a Ghostface killer. But I really think it'd be cool to do an early reveal, and we've talked about the idea of cliffhangers as far as, oh, there's another one that's still out there, and we know that was some ideas that they had in the past, like with was it Scream 2 that they were going to have um the shot of Ghostface in the tower,
in the bell tower.
Bell tower.
Yeah, at the end, yeah.
Yeah.
Where Sydney's walking on the grass, and the camera pans up, and you see that empty bell tower. Originally, it wasn't supposed to be an empty bell tower. It was supposed to, there was supposed to be Ghostface looking down.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a good idea. I mean, obviously, hindsight is 2020. I think the franchise has done a lot of great things up to this point, but I think now we're 6 movies in, and I think definitely doing some different things like that isn't a bad idea. I mean, will it work? Maybe, maybe not. I mean, execution is obviously a big part of it, but I wouldn't mind them doing something to really shake up the formula even more.
Well, and to your point, Knight, like that's half the reason I'm excited for this film. Like half the things I've been saying about this movie is I'm so excited to see what they do differently. And while I am excited to find out who the killers are, killers, whoever, I don't know the big changes. Like I don't know what they're doing to implement. Like I don't know what their motive is. I don't know what they're gonna do to implement something just totally different about this one. That's the thing I'm the most excited about. And I feel like you can't really spoil that in a clip. Yeah, maybe if I let somebody explain the entire movie to me or something like that, then okay. But like I there are a lot of things to still be surprised by with this movie, and that's why I'm still really excited for it. Thankfully I haven't gotten spoiled yet, but we still got a long march. Until
I know it is a long way.
Yeah,
it is. It's a long time between now and then.
It's funny because when the spoilers came out, for the Halloween movies and stuff like that, you usually figure a week out, maybe a week and a half out. Yeah, it batten down the hatches, right? But I mean, this is so far ahead. It's like when I first heard that there were spoilers out, I was like, oh my god, good god.
Yeah, well, my thing too, they have done such a good job keeping this film tight-lipped that it's just weird that randomly the most important part of the movie gets leaked. Like I don't know. Like again, I'm not like conspiracy. Like I'm not saying like let's put our tinfoil hats on and go down this rabbit hole. It's usually the simple answer is the real answer, right? Usually it's just like it very well could have just happened, but it's just the whole situation is just odd. Period. Like you think of like radio silence, you heard the news, like once it came out, it was like Radio Silence knew all about it. I mean, Scream 5, they had several endings, alternatives. Maybe it was it Jasmine Savoy Brown that said like that she did shots with her as Ghostface in Scream 5? I think it was either her or one of them, or it might have been Mason Goodness.
I remember something about that.
Someone did.
One of the characters, one of them were like, no, we actually did shots with me as Ghostface. Like almost all the characters did shots, like did scenes with them as Ghostface, just so they could go for whatever direction they wanted to go. I mean, the same thing could happen, But it's just, I just the whole situation was just odd. You know what I mean? And it's just again, I'm not saying like let's put our tinfoil hat on and go down that rabbit hole, but it is just it's just interesting.
Yeah.
Just interesting.
Yep. Absolutely. And real quick too, it looks as though Carrie said, "Oh, dude, I made it to 500. Woohoo!
Yeah, let's go!
Did it.
All right.
You did it.
Very cool. Yes, very cool. Keep it going, guys. And Carrie, feel free to continue to put your link out there. Very cool and more than deserved. More than deserved.
Agreed.
Congratulations to the Care Bear.
Killing the game.
We got a few super chats coming in. We got Denisha coming in with $2 super chat saying congrats to Care Bear. Yes. Thank you, Denisha. That's so sweet of you. Yes, very much so.
Thank you.
And also the general stepping in with a $10 super chat saying congratulations to our amazing Carrie for hitting 500 subs today. So proud of you. Absolutely. Thank you. Very proud of her.
Congrats to Carrie and thank you, Val. We appreciate that.
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you.
No doubt at all. And we had a couple questions popping in today, and also 40 and Fandom is saying, hi everyone, had a rough day and grateful for the stream today. Hope that you're doing better. Hope this stream gives you a little bit of fun and thoughts away from your troubles. Hope you're doing okay.
What we're here for.
That's right.
Safe place.
Yeah. Vale coming in saying, Jake, who is your number one Ghostface suspect?
I'm still hanging on Josh Segarra. He's number one for me. Like, I still feel like he's pretty sus. I mean, and maybe it's too obvious, but like to me, there's so many little aspects about his character and characters he's played in the past. I've gone through this spiel so many times. I'm sure y'all are sick of hearing it, but I really think he's our number one behind the crack ass mask, whatever we want to call it. I don't know, the butt crack mask. Yeah, that's
it. I still really like the idea of like and maybe that's what it will be. I don't know, but I'm saying like I really love the idea of like the therapist is the mastermind, and then you have like Josh Segura's character is like the muscle, right? Because you look at he's playing Christopher Stone, Henry Czerny's character, like like I just one of those things where I don't think like I would see him running around in the crack mask. I'd rather it be somebody like Josh Segura. Like that would be cool to like see Segura kind of like be the muscle and like going running around. And I just think that would be a cool story. You just have this therapist that's obsessed.
Yes.
And he that's why he took on Sam as a client. And he's just kind of like planting the seeds in her head and stuff. Like that would just be really cool. You could do a lot. And that would kind of go into like Scream 2, right? Like you could like Scream 2, you had Sydney was kind of broken. She's like, Mickey's like her confidant. She's always like talking to him. He's like planting seeds in her head the whole time, the whole movie. Like I think you could kind of have that, but just like a different approach. I could also see like, what if they do go like the Scream 2 route? And what if like Josh Segura? I actually wanted to make a video about this. Like, what if like Josh Segura is like the boyfriend or the love interest, because that's what he's supposed to be. He's supposed to be the love interest. We think, oh, he's the killer. He's this. He's that. And then they like full on pull a Scream 2 where like she kills him, thinking that he's the Ghostface and it's not. Like that would be cool too. Like depending on how you did it. I don't want it to be like he's tied up and like I love you. Like, but yeah, like it would be cool if like. You did like a Mrs. Loomis thing where like, like when like Gail comes in and she's like, Gail? And Gail's like, no. And he comes in like, what if you did something like that? But Sam doesn't even question it. She just sees him and just boom, pulls the trigger. Because we see that scene where she has the gun. What if she just pulls the trigger? He is like, oh, he's like, no, behind me. And like all of a sudden the killers come out. She's like out of bullets or something. Like that would be, I don't know. That'd be cool to see.
That would be cool if they did something like that. Like she actually killed someone that was innocent.
Yeah.
That would be.
I mean,
Sydney
did.
Yeah.
Like so.
Right. That would be cool.
Sydney's got more blood on her hands than anybody.
I know, man. I know. Let me ask you guys this to kind of piggyback off of that. The idea of Czerny, we've talked about this. I know we talked about it a lot, but I just wanted to, it just popped in my mind when you were saying that. I do think the whole idea of him kind of pulling some strings, being the puppet master of sorts, I do think it could be an interesting story, and it could be really well executed. And Zerny as an actor, I mean, he's just
He's so
great.
good.
He
Oh my
is,
God.
and that would give him some. I mean, could you imagine? A couple of years from now, we could look back on this movie and have those moments of Zerny, some dialogue from him, just a killer, no pun intended, reveal or moments that he has. That would be great. But let me ask you guys this, and Eric, the Bearded Entertainment, brought this up in my stream yesterday. The fact of his absence in the marketing, does that make you think more so that he could be a reveal, a killer, or involved, or whatever? Or does it make you feel less like he could be?
What I'll say to that, just real quick, is because he didn't get a character poster, which was my big thing about that. And I know that seems like that's so irrelevant. What are you talking about? Well, with Scream 5, don't forget Vince didn't get a character poster. A lot of people thought it was him, and he ended up just being a early on kill. But like I think that this would be a cool opportunity to make him the mastermind, because you have that like, just based off of the last film. Oh, he's probably just going to be a kill about 15 minutes into the movie or something. This is going to establish this is going to kick off the big ghost face 24-hour cycle or whatever that, we've been getting teased. That could be it. Or maybe he's like you said, a mastermind. He's not running around in the costume or anything, but he's running the show. You know what I mean? He's the one controlling everything from his high tower or something. I don't know, but I think that would be cool, and that could be a good that could be a cool misdirect too, based off of one marketing to the next.
Agreed.
Yeah, I do. I mean, that was the whole thing with Scream 5, right? Like the Vince mystery. Like, what is his last name? Why doesn't he have a last name? Why isn't he in any of the character posters? Why isn't he in any of the marketing? I mean, you even had Kyle Gallner. He made his own. Remember, he made the little the little towel or whatever.
Yeah, that was so funny.
Like, that was great. Like, and he just did. It was cool. I mean, if they're going to have like a mastermind. Right? Like, if that's the direction that they're going to go, like, because we all are kind of under the assumption that there's going to be 3 killers. Like, that's something that's been like the consensus since they announced Scream 6 was like, okay, they're going to go the 3 killer route finally. And so if you do have like 2 muscles and then like the mastermind, as far as we know, there's only 2 characters that could be. It would be, because you'd imagine if it's going to be a Mrs. Loomis type character, it's going to be somebody older. The only characters that we have are older are Henry Czerny and Dermot Mulroney. So it's either Dermot or it's Czerny. Those are the only 2 options. So, and I mean, Dermot, you could have like the detective turned killer, right? Like that could be something that could be the approach that they go. Kind of like in Scream 3 with why am I blanking on his name?
Roman.
No, the detective.
Kincaid.
He's married. Kincaid. Yeah, thank you, Mark Kincaid. There you go. Thank you. Sorry, I just completely blanked on that.
Patrick Dempsey.
Patrick Dempsey. Mark Kincaid. His that was the thing in Scream 3. It was like he's a little off. He's a little sus. Like
he was.
And now he's married and has kids with Sydney.
I know. So he gets to marry the queen. What the hell, Kincaid? What were you thinking?
It's just it's that whole thing. So I just I think that like if they're gonna go that approach, like you could go the detective turn Ghostface. I think you'd really have to sell that though. Like there really would have to be a reason behind it. Where I just think the therapist route, like if you go with Henry Czerny, I just think it's such a simple, easy, understandable, digestible reason. Like he's a therapist that has dedicated his life to serial killers and stuff like that and understanding the mentalities and stuff. And he just kind of got bought into it.
Yeah.
And like, I think that's an easy, like, oh, okay. Like that makes sense type thing. Like, we can all come, be succumbed by the darkness type thing. And there you go. And like, he's just like this there. And that could be why he's not marketing a bunch, kind of try to keep things as under wraps as possible when it comes to him.
That's right.
I definitely think that's the route they could go. So Bearded, Eric came in with the super chat that ties into what we're talking about right now.
Let me pull that up.
It says it's at 3:04. So what is that? Your time? 6:04, something?
Yeah. Yep. I got it. $5 super chat. Thank you, Eric.
Only because I know we are, just for people that know, we're starting to break it down into segments. But this is to what we're talking about, which is he said Kirby too. I mean, yeah, I mean Kirby, you could have Kirby be the mastermind, right? Because she's like the FBI agent and stuff like that. I just don't know if they would do that. Like as the master.
I don't think so either. I mean, listen, she's had trauma, and she's a dynamic character, and Hayden as an actress could pull that off. But for some reason, I just think, and I could be looking at it the wrong way. I just think that it kind of would be, as far as the rhythm of the franchise, it would just be like, you know what I'm saying? Because she was best friends with Jill. Obviously, we know what happened with Jill. And then all of a sudden, however many years later, Kirby becomes the mastermind and she wants to be a Ghostface killer as well, or either control other Ghostface killers. To me, it just would be kind of like, I don't know.
Yeah. It does kind of make parts of Scream 4 feel a little like weird, right? Because if Jill was this master, like if Jill's the killer in 4, so like why wouldn't she tell that to Kirby and be like, hey, you want to get in on this? You know, like it almost kind of makes you question that.
I think they'd have to tie that in. I think they'd have to tie that. Like you'd have to do something. I think you'd have to do something where like you had like a flashback or something, which there are rumors about that, right? We got the image of like, what looks to be her house from Scream 4. So maybe they do. Maybe they do have that tie-in. That's very possible. But I just think it's a lot you'd have to explain, right? Like, so maybe she did know and she was involved, but then it's like, okay, well then why did Charlie attack her? Unless maybe he didn't know. Maybe he didn't know that she was aware, right? I mean, you could do that. Like, because Jill and her were best friends. So maybe she was in on it with Jill and Charlie was just the patsy. And maybe Kirby knew that Charlie was the killer, but Charlie didn't know that she knew. You know what I mean? So like he killed her and attacked her because he just wanted to kill her and attack her because he was, upset that she wasn't throwing it at him. And and so, like that could have been the thing. And like at that point, Jill's just like, well, it is what it is. Like she's not gonna be like, oh well, jig is up.
Right.
Finally found me. That renegade who had it made.
The renegade that it made. Oh, God.
For a bounty.
Little Sticks reference there.
Ooh, there you go.
Supernatural.
Jake's on board. He knows. Oh, okay.
I don't care what Adam Sandler says about them. They're a killer band, bro.
They are. They are, man.
They got some great music.
Great music, man.
Oh, but no, in general, I could see the Kirby route. I think you make it make sense? Yes.
Yeah.
I just don't think they would go that way. Like to be honest though, I think anything that they do is probably going to piss people off. Right?
Of course it is. Yeah, of course.
I mean, like if they kill her, people are going to be upset about it. And if you turn her into a ghost face, people are going to be upset about it. If she lives, some people are going to be like, she wasn't in the film enough. Why'd you bring her back? Whatever. There's always going to be something. So, I mean, at the end of the day,
that person though. I'm going to tell you that right now. Like if they keep her alive and they she just shows up and I'm going to be like, why?
Yeah, I mean, if she just has like a couple of scenes, like the scene in the trailers, and it's basically her just waving to the camera, "Hey, it's me, I'm here," and then that's pretty much it. I'm gonna be ticked off, man. I really am.
And you want to talk about? Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. I was just gonna say you want to talk about ruining the dark tone. Like this is supposed to be dark Scream, and nobody's safe or anything, and then you make this cameo character super safe. Like, come on, that would suck. I hope they don't do that.
Same here. Same here.
Knight, something else I'd love to hear your thoughts on. Again, me and Jake talked about it on Friday, but there's and we could even go down this as like our next little segment. But part of it is there's talks about, I think it was Deadline, something like that, that posted it. It was like in one of the articles they touched on the idea of throwing around Kirby in a spinoff series. Because one of the lines in the trailer is she's like, I've been, hunting Ghostface killers or whatever, which alludes to like, oh, there's like all these Ghostface all over, all these attacks, stuff like that. And very likely this is what it sounds like, is that this is going to be like its own storyline. Like there's Ghostface killers all over the place, but we're just on the Sam storyline. But there's all these other storylines. And so there's talks about like, doing like a spin-off show or something where Kirby's basically, solving Ghostface crimes, which they wanted to do back in like 2000 or whatever with Dewey and Gale. They
Mhm.
wanted to do a spin-off series where basically the two of them would be like Scooby-Doo, just solving crimes. Like Dewey
Yeah.
would be like the gun, and she'd be like the one solving stuff. And they never ended up doing it. So
Mhm.
would you be game for something like that, like a Kirby Reed? Like even if she dies, you could still do it because you'd have
Yeah.
like you just would have the end result. So you know how the story started,
Right.
and you know how it ends, but they would make a series where you get all the meat and potatoes. What do you
Yeah, I
think?
mean, I think it would be cool. I mean, it lends itself to having a lot of possibilities, and I think again, she's a very dynamic character. So we get a chance to have our own horror nerd, doing these investigations. It could really open up the whole mythology. I'd be all for it. I mean, obviously they have to, they have to have some things that are going to make it. Work and make it something that people are gonna jump on board for. But I'd be all up for that. I think it would be really smart because if you think about it in that sense, Kirby could be like the center of the wheel. You know what I'm saying? Because she was in four, she survived a ghost face attack. She goes through that, the post traumatic stress of it and so forth and so forth. She gets into law enforcement, and now she's actively investigating, ghost face killers or whatever. It could open itself up even a little bit more. I think that'd be very cool. you know
I just like the idea of world building in the Scream universe. You know what I mean?
hmm
Like I'm very fascinated by that. We kind of did it a little bit in Red Right Hand, and I would hope that they do something kind of similar to that. It's such a fascinating idea, like the fact that this is a franchise that's like supposed to take place in like the real world and all that. I think it's really, to me, it's always been fascinating that like all these different killers decided to wear the same costume and murder people.
yeah,
Like dude, if that happened in real life, I talk about this all the time. Like that would be like the Marvel Cinematic Universe of true crime. Like people would be obsessed
right.
with this if this was
hmm
something that really happened. So you can't tell me that there's not more crazy serial killers out there that would have wanted to do this somewhere else
hmm
in the world. You know what I mean? Kirby could go and kind of mess with, like, stop all that shit, be like, no,
hmm
no, cut that out.
hmm
That I don't know. I would totally watch that series. I would be really invested in that.
yeah, yeah, it would be
I do
cool.
think we get a series. I think we do get a series sooner or later,
Mm,
whether it's like a Kirby spinoff, whether it's like an anthology version. Um, I do like the idea of a couple months ago when the talks of are they going to bring back the Brandon James story? Are they going to bring back whatever? Um, I do like the idea of like building, like Jake said, building the world that
yeah.
can branch into the films. Like so, there was talks about how one of the ideas were they basically wanted to the use the series as like a like a farming system almost,
hmm
right? Like so you build these characters, you build these actors and actresses. Some of them die in the series, some of them live, and then you can use those to go into the actual show and vice versa. You could have Sam kind of trickle in and be a character, or Gail or whatever, and you could just kind of have these interchangeable parts. I think that would be kind of cool. um,
hmm
because I mean they own the rights, so like it's not like a
That's right.
situation like you see some shows like Marvel Agents of Shield, like that tied into the movies, but it
hmm
wasn't through Marvel. It was like its own thing, so they never could use
That's
any
right.
of the characters really, right? Like
hmm
so, that was always this. You could have that, like you could have that intertwined kind of just universe and build these characters, and then if you find that like next Jenna Ortega or something. Well, now you have a character that people love from the series that's recognizable, that they know that has some popularity, and it just shines a light on the movies, right? So you
hmm
highlight the movies, you do it, but also if they're going to do a show, then that tells me that they're not going to stop at Scream 7. They're going to keep going. Because why?
Yeah.
Why would you make Scream 7 and then just stop and do a series when you could do both and
hmm
use the series to build the films and have more success in the films and so on? It's like it just, I don't think it would make sense to stop at 7. Uh,
Right.
but
I
um,
totally agree with that. I don't think they have plans to stop at 7. And why would they?
I don't.
you know?
I don't. I mean, I broke this down before, but I think it is good information. Like, you got to think like so. We already have the news that Scream 7 is greenlit, right? And there's talks that It may tie in, it may not, it may be its own thing, which I'd be all for. Like if like say this is like the conclusion trilogy, right? So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 is like the Sam and Billy story. You have that, and then maybe start fresh with that. I mean, you're not going to start. You'll have the same characters, but just it won't be like the callbacks and the tie-ins. It'll just kind of be its own thing, which they've said that they're trying to do in Scream 6 to an extent. But we already see like just evidence and stuff of connections and tie-ins to the past films, and they said themselves this movie ties into all the other films specifically for. Right, like they made that apparent. So Scream 6, like I could see them having Scream 6 kind of be the like final connector, and then they pick up Scream 7 as kind of like its own story, its own thing, its own directions with whatever surviving characters. Cool, that makes sense to me. But like you like after Scream 6, like let's say Scream 6 makes even like 200 million, right? So they've made 340 million on these first two films. They're probably not even in the green yet because they spent probably 100 million to get the rights, 50 to 100 million to get the rights. So let's call it 100 million. So that means they've made 240 million. It cost them 60 million to make these two films. So now you're talking 180 million plus, let's say, another 60 plus million in marketing. which would be another 60 million. So now they're at like 120 million in profit, and that's not counting like all of the theater spots, any like little variants here and there. They probably haven't made any money after Scream 6. So if Scream 7 is a success, why would you stop? Right? Like,
and you know what? The big thing with that, like people hear that and they're like, well, we just got 3 of these movies. Maybe people will be exhausted on them. But here's the thing, like Scream 5 was maybe the tiniest bit of a step outside of the typical comfort zone of this franchise, maybe, this film's going to be an even bigger step, and then 7, who knows what it's going to be. This is its own thing. You know what I mean? Like this is still very much Radio Silence's Scream movies, and I'm here for it. I love it. But with that being said, now Radio Silence is, they're probably gonna do 7, then move on to their Escape from New York stuff, which is really exciting. Why don't we have someone else come on? Like what about like Christopher Landon, dude? Christopher Landon would do a killer Scream movie, in my opinion. I mean, he like Happy Death Day 1 and 2. Like, however you feel about those movies, they're very much so Scream inspired. Like, I think he would kill it. And another big thing is like a lot of people are like, man, I really want to see Sidney Prescott at the focal point of a story again. You don't have to do a whole trilogy, but what if we make another movie where it's about her getting attacked, and what if Radio Silence doesn't touch on that in 7? You could make a whole trilogy on that. Personally, I'm not for that. Maybe one more movie.
Maybe one movie.
Yeah, one movie. Okay, maybe not a whole trilogy, but like one movie of that, I'm here for it, man. Hell yeah. Scream 8, man. Let's do that. I say yes to that. That would be really cool. Christopher Landon in the director's chair. Maybe Michael Kennedy from Freaky or something writing. I think that would be a really good movie. Gerald makes a good point too. Mike Flanagan, I think, would kill it.
Yes.
As well.
Yes.
There's lots of directors and writers out there that would kill it with this franchise, I think.
Yeah. I mean, why not? The beauty of Scream is that it's not a Michael or a Jason or something. Like, I can understand getting burnt out. Like, you just had 3 Michael films, right? And it's like, okay, like how much more can you expand on that story? When you start getting into like the 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th film, right? But like the beauty of Scream is like you can tell a different whodunit every single movie. You could make a different movie forever. Like you don't have to do the tie-ins. You don't have to do like every movie. You could make an anthology series on the big screen essentially, where every single movie it's this other thing. And if Scream 6 does establish that there are all these Ghostface attacks and killers all over the world, it's not just Sydney and Sam and all these people, then you could tell that now we just go to this timeline over here with this person, and we go to this timeline over here with this person. And like, you could just forever expand the Scream universe. Like at the end of the day, as long as it's a good movie, people are going to enjoy it. Like if you go and see a Scream movie and it's terrible and it's like, oh, this was just clearly just for money. Even though I don't really like the whole cash grab thing, because I mean every movie's a cash grab. That's the point of making a movie is to make money. So like I'm not really big on like the whole like, oh, this was just for cash grab. But there are movies that are clearly like, okay, they only made they didn't make this to make a good movie. They made this to try to cash in on the name, right? Like
Halloween.
Like, yeah, exactly.
I had to clear my throat. Sorry.
as long as they're not doing that, as long as we're not getting like a Halloween Ends, then make these movies forever. Give us a good quality Scream movie every single year, over and over and over again, and just tell new stories. That's the difference between Scream and other horror franchises. Other horror franchises, it's usually a specific person or persons, or Scream, it's just whoever's under the mask. So, yeah.
Agreed. And also, we've got Eric coming in with another super chat, $5 super chat. Woohoo! Thank you so much, man. And Jake is totally, stoked.
Lose my mind over
That's
here.
Right. I thought you did. I was about to say we have to get a net and catch it. Get that mind. Okay. Eric says, I don't believe it'll happen, but talk about subverting expectations.
I think he's talking about the Kirby thing.
Yeah, the Kirby thing
earlier.
Yeah. And I agree.
It would definitely be like a out of left field thing.
Can you imagine the conversations we'd have if it was Kirby? I mean, it'd definitely be some good content.
Now, I do have a question about this though. Like, cause like my big theory with Kirby that I pitched was like, what if her whole goal as a Ghostface is to just stop this from happening? Like, she has good intentions, but she's going about it the wrong way. And that's all based off of her upbringing, like as a teenager with her experience with Jill. And like, that was her best friend and she didn't know, you know? I could see that possibly being, I'm with Eric here. I don't think that's going to happen. But if that were to happen, that's what we see at the end of this. Would you be okay with that angle to Kirby's character?
Well, I think I'd be okay with it. And I remember, you had been talking about that as an angle. I'd be okay with it because it's something different as far as the motive. It's actually kind of interesting, and they could play it off. They could execute it in a very interesting way because her whole idea is coming from a different, it's coming from a whole different, place than we've ever seen in this franchise. So yeah, I could see that, and I'd be okay with that. It's very interesting. It's an interesting thought. But yeah, I don't think they're gonna do that. Maybe
No.
If this was 7, like let's say we had another movie before this, and then they brought back Kirby. I think with 7, because I really do think, like you guys are saying, I think that we're going further and further away from, the basic formula. And I think that is a good
very
thing.
simple formula.
Yeah, it's a very simple formula. Yeah. But I think that would be something, that is super, super bonkers crazy that they would do like in a 7, But I just hope that Kirby is kick ass in this movie and that she has some really great moments and weight. Same thing with Gale. And I know that that's going to be so difficult to pull off with so many characters, but I just feel as though you don't want to waste these moments, with these characters and with these actors and actresses. And like with 5, I just think that the balance of time was just so off. We needed that extra, whatever it was, 20 minutes, 18 minutes, whatever it was, to kind of like fill out getting to know the new characters, but also giving the older characters more weight. So it's a horrible balance that they have to have with these movies. I wouldn't want to do it.
Yeah, no, it seems tough, and like also making sure to appease fans while also keeping things fresh. That's probably the toughest thing to do. This is probably one of the hardest franchises to do something like that because there's so much you have to keep consistent while also having this itch to start going into new grounds. Like this franchise has always kind of played it very similar in each movie, maybe taking things a little slightly different down different paths in some of the other sequels. Like it's gotten campier, through like 1, 2, and 3. Gets campier with each movie for sure. 4 maybe takes a step back from that. 5 maybe another step, but I don't know. They've never really done anything outlandish with a sequel in these movies, and I think it's because of what you're talking about. Like there is a very specific formula, you don't want to mess with that. So I don't know. Me personally, I want to see them spin that a lot more than how they've done it. Like it's always been an inch or two, give me a whole like see what happens.
Right. And Jor-El was saying name is pronounced Jor-El though, like Superman's father. Love it. Jor-El. Very,
Jor-El.
very cool, man.
Okay. Gotcha. My bad.